It's a common misconception that going above and beyond for clients at a discounted rate will build a loyal following. In reality, 60% of all small businesses report that undercharging leads to unsustainable workloads, and 42% find it difficult to raise prices later, even when faced with rising costs. This pattern not only impacts profitability, but also increases the risk of burnout, with 74% of entrepreneurs experiencing mental health challenges related to financial stress and overwork. Let's change that now. Welcome to Dollars and Dreams, the podcast designed to empower you to take control of your personal and business finance. You know, the very thought of money and finance can often send chills down your spine and stir up fear of the unknown. But let's change that narrative together. Through this podcast, my goal is to not only to provide you with useful information, but also to inspire and motivate you to take action towards your own financial goals. Let's rewrite your money story together. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Dollars and Dreams. Today's episode is about something that I see all too often with small businesses, and it generally will happen when small businesses first start out on their own. It can also happen when cost of living gets tight, and so people may not be spending quite as much money out in the community as they would have before. And the thing that we are talking about is over-delivering but undercharging. So as small business owners, we quite often think to ourselves, if I just drop my prices, people will come to me instead of my competitor. Or if I just drop my prices, I'll get more people walking in the door. And of course, more people walking in the door spending money is great because I will get some revenue. The problem with over-delivering and undercharging is that you are discounting your own worth as a business owner. And of course, when you discount your pricing, yes, you will potentially get more people walking in your door or ringing you up to give you that service. But it sets up a few different issues inside your business. The first one, of course, is that you will be overworked because you've now got more work, but you're not making as much money because you've reduced your pricing, which means then you need to do more work to cover those fixed costs that you have. It also means that it will play a part on mental health because you will constantly be trying to chase your tail to keep up with everything. It will impact your profit because, of course, you know, I've talked about in podcasts all the time about increasing your gross profit margin. So that's the amount that's left over to cover your costs after you've produced whatever it is that you sell. So if you're reducing your income, you're putting more pressure on each product that you sell to cover more costs. It will also impact your cash flow because you're probably buying more product but not getting as much income in to cover that product that you're selling. And it also sets you up potentially to get the wrong type of customer. So it will be people that are chasing a bargain, people that are always price sensitive, and it doesn't matter how good your product is or what service you provide, they will always be chasing something that is cheaper. So that raises some issues in itself because we want clients or customers that are going to become our raving fans because they will tell other people out in the community to use your business. And so they become the advertisement for you that you don't actually pay for. If you're getting the wrong type of customer, then potentially they're not going to be your raving fan because they're always going to be looking for the next cheapest price. So when we talk about discounting our product to get a better number of clients coming in or more customers coming in to use us, it creates some pitfalls that we have. So we can set unrealistic expectations for our clients. And what I mean by that is if you're over delivering, that becomes an expectation for your customer. So let's say, we're a hairdresser and we are struggling to pay the rent, to pay our staff, to buy the product that's all gone up. And of course, our consumer is feeling the cost of living. So maybe they're not getting their hair cut as often, or maybe they're not getting their colourings done every time they come in, or maybe they're even looking to do home colouring. So you may say to yourself, well, I'm just going to drop my pricing and that will counteract the fear that my consumer has. And then on top of that, so that they come to me, I'm actually going to give something away for free. So it might be every haircut and colour blow dry gets a take-home care package. So it might be a shampoo, a conditioner, or a leave-in something. So that becomes an expectation that your client thinks that a haircut, blow dry, and a colour, you get this care package every time. So you might do that for a couple of times and then all of a sudden you have a price push because your cost of your business is now increased because you're not recovering that sale value of that care package. You're now giving that away for free. Now, let's say in your business that would normally sell for $30 and it costs you $10 to buy it. If you're not recovering that $20 difference, so the $30 less the $10, that then means that you've got $20 less in revenue coming in. You've still got to give that product away for free. You've reduced your prices and given something that is $20 impact on your cash flow. So after a while, you realize that that's not sustainable because your cash flow is diminishing, your profit is decreasing, and your consumer now has an expectation that when they get a colour cut, blow dry, that they're going to get some sort of care package. So you've decided now that you actually can't do that because it has had such an impact on your business that you stop doing that. What do you think your consumer is now thinking? Because as a consumer, they now have that expectation that they were going to get a care package. So all of a sudden they think they're overcharged, when in reality, you're now charging them what you should have been charging them. They're just not getting that freebie. And I see this quite often in particularly things like butcher shops. I was at the butcher's the other week and I'd bought, meat for that night and the next night. And I think I might have actually bought it for the third night. And I just happened to pick up those salts and things that they have sitting on top of the counter. And I just mentioned to my son who was there, who loves chili, and it was this chili salt. And I said to him, I'll have a look at this, and then put it back. And of course, the guy that was serving me said, I'll throw that in for free for you. Now, I'd already bought my meat. So from my point of view, he was giving away his profits. Now, I get that some people go, I just spent a lot of money on meat in that butcher's, I should get something. But the reality is he just impacted his cash flow and his profit. I didn't really want that salt. I was just showing it to my son. But of course, the butcher picked it up and put it in my bag. I wasn't going to say to him, no, I didn't really want to put it back. But the accountant in me was wanting to scream out, what are you doing? You have just given me something that didn't entice me to come in. It's certainly not going to make me come back. Like, I'm not going to go back in to this butcher just because he gave me a chili salt for free. But he impacted his profit. He impacted his cash flow. He did lots of things that reduced his profitability. And yes, it was great and it was lovely. It's still sitting on my shelf at home unopened. That's how much I really wanted it. I just picked it up and looked at it. And again, as an accountant, we always say to people, put things out where people are paying. Put things in reach. It's no point having things behind counters or in a corner somewhere where they're not doing it. Yes, it does get in the way, and I've had lots of my clients say that to me, that it gets in the way when I'm trying. I've got a very little counter space. So putting these things there then means people are shuffling stuff. If things are in your reach, people will buy them because they'll pick them up to look at them. As humans, we are inquisitive. So if we see something on the shelf in front of us, we will pick it up sometimes. We don't pick it up all the time, but you don't need everybody to pick it up every single time. When this butcher did that to me, I was like, I just want to show you how much that's impacted. Now, let's say he had 20 consumers that day. He would have more than that, but let's say there was 20. And if that product was a cost to him of, let's say, $5, he just threw away $100. Now, this butcher is open 7 days a week. He's in a shopping centre. So if that happened every day of the week, that's $700 that it has cost him. And then multiply that by the 50, let's say 50 weeks that he was open. That is a lot of money. And that is the impact that giving away your services at a discounted rate to try to show that you are better than your competitor or to build your following. And that's the impact that it has on the bottom line of you as a business. So you set that precedent. Now, I don't say this butcher every time I go does that. And it is a one-off. It's definitely not the first time it's happened to me. I also don't shop at that butcher's all the time. I tend to use my local butcher, but he doesn't open on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday. So if I don't remember to get to the butcher's on a Saturday morning, I have to use one of the ones in the supermarkets. I go to this guy every now and then because sometimes I'm busy on a Saturday morning, and I go and I just go and grab my groceries and I call in at the butcher's on the way. He has given me at times sauces. He's given me eggs, although you wouldn't do that at the moment with eggs and the scarcity that we've got. The salts, the marinades, there's lots of things. But I don't go to him because of that. Some people may, and they've obviously got a limit on you've got to spend more than a certain amount to get that. But the expectations for some consumers would be to feel like they've been snubbed when they don't get something for free. So if we go back to the hairdresser that I was talking about, if you got that care package because they were trying to keep people coming in instead of doing the home dyeing of their hair, or instead of extending their haircuts from 6 weeks to 8 weeks, I don't know that that little care package would be the reason that they would come in more often. For some it might be, but it would be a minority. What it has done is it's made us feel good that we gave something away. But that, of course, as I said, will erode your profitability, which is why you discounted or gave something anyway, was to try and boost your profitability. So that impact that you tried to do, because you are only looking at the top line of your business. And when you're a small business in particular, looking at the top line of your business, so that's your revenue, is a really dangerous game, because it is the profit margin that you should be looking at and your profitability as well as your cash flow. Because as they say, revenue is vanity. Because we like to think that our sales have increased by 20% on last year. But if we haven't got good cost control, and that's what you do when you start discounting your services, if you don't have good cost control, your gross profit margin has gone down, which means you're working harder to make less. So it is really important when you're looking at discounting to try and grow your business that you understand the impact that they can have. Now, I get when businesses are first starting out, you're starting from zero. like we all did. It's not too many business owners that started somewhere other than zero. Yes, if let's say you're a lawyer or an accountant and you might have bought into your business that you were working for. You didn't start at zero, but that business itself started at zero at some point. So you've taken the leap and you've decided that you're going to go out on your own. You look at what your competitors are charging and you think to yourself, if I just undercut them, people will come to me instead of them. Because we all know people are price sensitive, and particularly at the moment when cost of living is so high. So given that you think that, well, if I just discount my my pricing on my product, and I'll be able to get the market from those clients. Then when you start to do that and you've started to build your client base and you think, I'm not making as much money as them because I've discounted my pricing to get their compliance. So you look at that and you go, well, I've now filled my books. I'm not making as much money as my competitor because I'm cheaper. I'll start to increase my pricing. You will have pushback from your clients or your consumers because then they look at it and go, I came to you because you were cheaper than your competitor. Now you're the same pricing, and then whilst you might be the same pricing, so even if they go back to the business that they were using before, they feel better about it because they feel that you took advantage of them by increasing your pricing. So the psychology around sales for your consumer is a really strong point, and it's something that as business owners we need to understand, because the psychology of your consumer is what will give you the ability to grow as a business owner. If you understand the way your consumer thinks, feels, and acts, then as a business owner, you can counteract that. And, we see it all the time in retail trades, particularly places like bakeries where, flour and the raw materials have been going up. They put a sign up to say, unfortunately, our prices have had to increase because our product has increased. And so what they're doing is they're counteracting that fear that their consumer's going to have is, oh my God, all my cost of living's going up. These things are costing me more. And now you're telling me that my bakery products has to go up. So the fear that they've got is that, everything's going up. I thought I could at least go to the bakery and get a pie and a sausage roll on a weekend without it costing me more. But if that bakery owner's not putting their prices up because their cost of products are going up, then they're helping support your family. So by telling you that they're putting their product because their raw products have gone up, is counteracting that objection that their consumer has. Doesn't mean their consumer doesn't like that their product's gone up, but at least they can understand why it has gone up. So be very careful of not setting your benchmarks when you start your business of what your product or service is going to be priced at, because the objections when you go to increase it when you've got your consumer base could very well bite you on the butt, because people will feel that they've been taken advantage of because they moved from their previous business that they used to your business because you were cheaper, and now you're not cheaper. And the reality is that if you've undercut for a period of time, when you start to increase your prices, you actually probably need to go higher than your competitor to try and get the money back that you've lost. So it is important to understand your product, show why you're good at what you do, show your consumer that it's not all about pricing. And it's not. Most people will pay a premium to get a good service or get something of what it is supposed to be. I mean, you've got your Temus and your Amazons for those generic products that a key ring's a key ring. And so if you're buying a key ring off Temu that's a sunflower, and Amazon has that same key ring, yes, you're going to come down to pricing because That's all it is. It's the exact same product, and the only difference between it is the pricing. Having said that, I've heard people, even with those generic type things, that they say they'll buy it off one supplier rather than the other because it's quicker delivery, it doesn't get lost in translation, and, it is what it is. So that's the uniqueness between your product and their product. So I don't buy off Amazon or Temu, so I don't know which one. But let's just say Amazon has a better delivery. So they'll get it to you in 48 hours. And then you look at those same key rings that you want to buy for a trade event that's coming up to hand out to people so that they think about you. You go onto Temu, it's the exact same product, it's the same pricing, and their delivery says 7 to 10 days. You will obviously buy from Amazon because you're getting the same product, the same price, but the delivery date is quicker, which means you don't have that stress factor because you don't want to think in 10 days, oh, hang on, I haven't got that product yet. I better follow it up with Temu. Now, if that product is cheaper on Temu, you may very well go to yourself, I might put up with that longer delivery because I'm going to save $100. That's a call you make on the product. If you know that Amazon delivers your product to your door without any issues, and Temu delivers, sometimes to a neighbour's property, and then you have the issues, that may make a decision for you. So it's not the pricing there, it's the product that you're delivering. So it's the services that you give to your consumer that will set you apart from your competitor. The other thing that I touched on briefly earlier was when you underprice your product and you over-deliver, you run the risk of burnout, because if you get all these people coming to you and you need to get their product done, you need to schedule it all, doesn't matter what it is, whether you're a plumber, a builder, a retailer, if you can't get things out to your consumer in a timely manner so that whatever it is that they've bought from you is delivered and the sale is closed, the product's done, delivered, move on. If you can't do that in a timely manner, you know that you're going to get bad ratings. People will say something like, I bought, my swimsuits from them, but it took 4 days to deliver it. So you've got to be very careful that you don't get revenue for the sake of revenue. So when it comes in, if you're underpriced and you're over-delivering, you could end up working 10, 15 hours a day, every day of the week to deliver your product or service. That is not sustainable for anybody over a long term. And so then you get burnout, which means then you don't deliver the product that you said you would deliver. And then, of course, you get the bad ratings, your customers move off. It also can lead to mental health challenges. And as we know, small business owners have a greater chance of having mental health issues than salary and wage people. And that's because you take on the pressures of your business. So if you're feeling like you're constantly working, you can't get on top of the cycles, you can't deliver what you need to do, people are ringing, complaining because the expectation was there that it would be delivered or produced within a small time frame, you then struggle. And of course, then it is a spiral to the bottom, because not only is your mental health issues exasperated, it's then you can't deliver. So people go, people make more complaints. That then leads to more mental health challenges. So it is important as business owners that you be very careful about what you are doing in the business that could lead you to have that nervous breakdown or have that real mental health challenge, not love your business. And let's face it, we go into business because we love what we do and we want to have that creative control over our business. So if you're a plumber and you love plumbing and you think that you've got a better product than your employer at the time, and you think, I'm going to go and do it myself. If you fall out of love with being a plumber or being in business, you're not going to have your business for very long, and you're then rocking back up to your boss to ask for your job back. And it can be a very expensive little foray into business if you walk away from the business and you haven't been able to cover your costs, because that means then that you walk away with debt and you've got to pay that debt out yourself or declare yourself bankrupt. Or, if you're in a company, you might be able to liquidate. But you don't want to do that. So we want you to stay in love with your business. So we want you to price your business to what it should be. I don't want you to think to yourself that if I discount and over-deliver, that I am going to get these raving fans. The other thing that we find with small business owners is that when they underprice their product, consumer will look at your product and your competitor's product, which is mostly the same, and they will look that yours is at a lower pricing structure. So the first thing that they start to ask themselves, because remember I talked about earlier the psychology of the consumer, is why are they not as good? Or why are they underpriced compared to the other one? I'm going to get something less. I'm going to not get the service. I'm not going to get things. So it devalues your experience and your expertise in your chosen field. So if, for example, you look at two lawyers, one charges $150 an hour and one charges $500 an hour, you would make an assumption, rightly or wrongly, that the $500 an hour lawyer is better than the $150 an hour lawyer. Or if you're getting a plumbing company in and one company quotes you $10,000 to do the stormwater drains, another company comes in and charges you $15,000, you would start to say, I must be getting something more for the $15,000 than the $10,000. Some people will look at that and go, doesn't matter, I'm still getting my stormwater done. I'll just pay the $10,000. But the psychology of pricing is that the higher price has a perceived higher value for your consumer. So if you go to, let's use a restaurant. That's a classic example. You can go to the local pub, get steak, chips and salad for $25, $30 probably at the moment. You can go to a high-end restaurant and you may be paying $60 for basically steak, chips and salad. People perceive that the pub isn't going to cook the steak as well, or the steak's not going to be as tender, or the salad I'm going to get in the restaurant is going to be better. And it may be the case, but at the end of the day, a steak is a steak. I'm going to say that, but we know that's not true because some steaks are goddamn tough and some aren't. But there is a perceived value if you're buying steak, chips and salad in a high-class restaurant, that it is going to be a better cooked steak, a better salad, a better delivery, a more tender steak than the $25 one from the pub. So that's what I'm talking about, is the psychology that your consumer has, that they think because they're paying a better price that they will get a better product or service. And we see it quite often here in the accounting world that we live in. So we're a very small accounting firm. Some people like to call them a boutique firm, but, I'll just go with the general term. We're a small accounting firm. A lot of people will make the assumption that because we are small, we don't have the knowledge and skills of the multi-partner accounting firms. And yes, the issue with multi-partner accounting firms is that you can have one person specialising in, certain parts of the business. So there's a lot more people to call on if you need the knowledge. But for 90% of business owners, they don't need that. Yes, there's 10% or maybe 20% if we want to use the old 80-20 rule. Let's go 20% of people need those different areas of expertise in the one location. So, my accounting firm, I'm a sole partner. So if you come to me, you get my very good knowledge on lots of area, but I don't have, I guess, that niche market that if you wanted something that was very different and out of the box, I probably don't have that knowledge and skills to be able to do that. But the client base I have don't need that. And if they do, I've got a really good referral network that I can send it to. So people will have the perceived thoughts that by using a bigger accounting firm that have bigger fees that they're going to get a better outcome. And in 80% of the cases, that's not the case. But that's the psychology, the pricing, the psychology of the backbone behind a business. So if you're a little electrician, it's just you, compare that to one of the big companies, an electrician, they will think that they're going to get a better delivery of service from the bigger ones. So if you're discounting your pricing, people will start to question whether you're cheaper because you don't have the necessary skills, or are you cheaper because you can't do what other places can do? So be very careful when you discount your product or service that you're not devaluing your expertise. So we always say when we're in businesses to niche, and then niche again. But if you've niched all the way down that this is what I do, I'm very good at, let's say you're an electrician, but your skill set is that you are an expertise on, let's say, garden lighting or outdoor lighting. So you would work with landscapers to go, if you do the landscaping, I'll get the greatest form of lighting for you. That means that you've got an area that you are unique in. So you need to price accordingly. So you wouldn't want to say, that's my area of skill, so I'm going to discount my pricing, because some people don't want to spend a lot on lighting outdoors, whereas they're quite happy to spend lighting indoors. So be very careful that you are not undervaluing your business. So you also want to make sure that you are fairly compensated for your skills and knowledge. The other thing, and it's the last thing that I'm going to cover off in today's podcast, is that when you are discounting your product or service, you may be attracting the wrong client. And I talked about this briefly at the start, that you will attract the price sensitive people. So you can deliver the world, but if your pricing isn't the cheapest, they're going to complain. Like we see it all the time, don't we, on the Google ratings and things, that people love to complain when they didn't get what they thought they should be entitled to. So we will have, you see it all the time. I was looking on a Google rating for it was a club, I think, and they were complaining that the restaurant cancelled their booking because they had a table booked for 18 people. And so they said, and we got there and our booking had been cancelled, and we had people coming because it was a birthday party. They couldn't find us anywhere else, etc., etc. And the restaurant inside this club replied to that. And I thought it was a really interesting reply, in that 2 people turned up 20 minutes late for their booking, and they said the others are on their way. They gave them 10 minutes. So that gave them half an hour after their booking, because they were booked out. So they said to them, well, we can hold your table for another 10 minutes, but after that, I'm sorry, your table is cancelled. The rest of the party turned up another 35 minutes late. So they were an hour and 5 minutes late to their booking. So they were putting a really bad rating on this restaurant that was inside a club, saying that it was birthday celebrations, we got tied up with time, everybody'd come from different places, but they didn't value that business's time and money. And as the business owner said, you were an hour and 5 minutes late for your booking. So I either had to annoy you or I was going to annoy every booking after you, because the kitchen couldn't have got your 18 meals out plus the people that were already booked in and arrived on time. The people who had your table booked for an hour later would have had to then wait, because you would have had to eat your meals in the 55 minutes, and that would have been impossible for the kitchen staff, the wait staff. You would then have been complaining that they got given their food and were pushed out. So they had attracted the wrong client for whatever reason. So it is important that you make sure that you're attracting the right client. The right client is the one that is prepared to pay for your skills, your services, everything that you do. So don't set yourself up for failure later on, which is what you're doing if you undersell your product or service. So my key takeaways for today is don't overdeliver and undercharge. Overdeliver by all means, but charge what you should be charging. Don't think that discounting your pricing will be the savior of your business. It will actually be the slippery slope that you go on with profitability, cash flow, and mental health challenges. So make sure that you show your unique selling position so that you don't have to discount. So what I mean by your unique selling position is why your product or service is better than your competitors, because that will give you a position where people cannot compare. So you want to be the apple in the apple and oranges. You want to show that your business is unique, your business gives a better product, and it can be as simple as finding out what the pain points are for your consumer. What do they not like about working with your industry? So it could be, if you're a builder, that the site was left really dirty of an afternoon, they walked mud into the house, they didn't show up when they said they would. So counteract those things. So if they were the 3 objections as to what people don't like about your industry, do things like make sure that you go through and quickly run the vacuum through the house that you've been. And you can buy those industrial vacuums that don't take long. So every afternoon before you go, one person cleans up outside, one person cleans up inside. It might be one person goes through and takes all the rubbish away, because nothing is worse than, you've got to pile up rubbish when you're a builder. But it may be that it goes into your trailer or it goes into the dumpster or whatever it is. But find out the pain points of your industry and show that your business can fix that. So that is finding your ideal client. You don't have to discount your prices because you're not leaving your business exposed to the pain points that people have. And it means that you're not putting pressure on your cash flow or your business. So before you want to discount your pricing or over deliver, just think about those things to see how they can impact on your business. So if you want to know more or you need any help with your pricing, reach out to me here at jenrichardson.co, or you can jump onto my business practice here, which is 123 Financial Group, or put a comment below wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. And if you know any small business owners who could benefit from my help, please let them know about my podcast and my website, jenrichardson.co or 123 Financial Group, and send them my way. And don't forget, please like and subscribe so that you'll get notified when our next podcast lands. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. I have loved having you as part of my podcast. Remember, the advice shared in Dollars and Dreams is general in nature and it does not consider your own personal circumstances. Dollars and Dreams is for educational purposes only and should not be relied upon to make investment or financial decisions. If you need more help, please reach out to a financial advisor for tailored personal advice. Don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content. And please leave me a review. Your feedback really helps me to reach other people chasing their money dreams. You can find me over on Facebook and Instagram to connect with me. You will find the link in the bio or head over to my website at jenrichardson.co where you will find free content and learning tools.